Welcome to Free Press Fail. I'm Steph.
I'm Corinne.
And Corinne is joining us from some sort of torture facility in probably Fallujah. I'm not really sure what's going on.
It might be a torture facility in Reno, Nevada. I am home because my sister is having her 11th child. Just kidding.
It's 11.
It's her 4th. So we're waiting for that baby. So I'm home in Nevada.
I'm home in my little apartment. A little view for you guys to see. We are very excited. We're over 4,000 followers now. So that is exciting. We really want to get up. We got to double that. We got to keep going. So get your friends to watch, retweet us. Make sure you're subscribed.
Yeah. Thanks for all the retweets and every favorite. We really appreciate it. So super glad about it.
And speaking of retweets, Twitter has been shadow banning some of our content. They put behind a sensitive firewall a clip of me just describing a campaign ad. I didn't even swear in that one. And I still got shadow banned. So click through on our material. We don't have anything sensitive. Just go ahead and click through. It's not. Don't be afraid.
Yep. And if you ever can't see our stuff on Twitter, just go right to the website, it's freepressfail.com, and everything's up there. And we don't shadow ban anything. So if you can't find anything, just go there.
Right. And this week we're drinking Cali Mochos in honor of Corinne being in Reno and or Fallujah. The Basque population in Reno, which is like Spanish French, they drink this drink, which is red wine and Diet Coke mix. So we've been drinking it since college. And that's what we have today. So cheers to everyone.
Cheers. It's the best. We've converted many souls on this.
Don't knock it till you try it.
You gotta try it, guys.
If you're out there gagging, you try it first.
Yep. So much news this week, so we'll just jump into it. Lots of fake news. First, ABC used fake footage to claim that Trump invaded Syria. And it turns out it was actually a shoot from Kentucky.
Right. So they used this footage that was supposed to be at the border between Turkey and the Kurdish when the U.S. troops were still there. So they were claiming our involvement in this, right? And it is actually footage of Kentucky. It's Knob Creek gun range in Kentucky. And people called them out on this. And Knob Creek had a hilarious response. They checked in as safe from Turkish invasion, which is so funny. And they said, thanks for the free advertising. But ABC comes out and says, oh, we're so sorry. This was a mistake. And it's like
a little bit of
kind of a huge mistake. Also, a lot went into putting this video on TV because they edited it and they overlaid their reporter's commentary as if he was like standing there. So it's really
Someone
embarrassing.
Is definitely getting fired for like randomly searching YouTube for like stock footage guns and then just putting it on ABC.
Just being like, it's Syria, who will know? Great. I love this though because it's like textbook fake news. It's literally just completely misassigning footage and just being like, sorry.
It happens.
Sorry, guys. Whatever. You know.
Crazy.
Journalistic integrity didn't even check the video.
Never do. Speaking of journalistic integrity, Hunter Biden responded to Trump's mocking from the Minneapolis rally where he said, "Where's Hunter?" because he hasn't done any interviews to answer.
More on that in a minute. Yes.
Yes. And it was the least hard-hitting interview that I've maybe like ever watched. It was
so it's hilarious. So this is funny because GMA is actually ABC as well. So it's the same network. That's featured in our 2 top news stories here on being just
a week of winning for ABC.
Pillars of the journalistic community. But they come out with the promo for this video and they're like, it's an exclusive, but no questions barred. It's like, I'm sure there were questions barred. You got an exclusive. You either paid him or you had a ironclad contract about what questions you could answer pre-screen. Like that. We're not born yesterday, GMA. We know how exclusives work, obviously.
My favorite part is that Hunter Biden is just as good at interviews as Joe Biden. And even though he was handed softball questions, it still was not very flattering for him. They're just like, Hunter, do you regret your involvement? And he's like, absolutely. I really regret my involvement in foreign companies, even knowing that I did nothing wrong, but it's still regretful because of people saying that I did something wrong, even though I didn't do anything wrong. It's like,
he goes, oh, I mean, I didn't do anything wrong, but I guess it was bad judgment because I should have known that Giuliani would make a big deal about it.
Yeah. Like, okay, Hunter, they handed you a platter to like redirect the narrative, and you couldn't do that because that's how good the Bidens are at publicity.
Yeah, and like, what does Giuliani? You're like, oh, I should have thought of Giuliani. Like, it was very specific.
We all should at all times.
We all should think of Giuliani before we make decisions. What would Giuliani do? That's WWGD.
Yes. And then the Dem debate this week, there should be more news on this, but there's really not because it was the most boring debate ever. Very low energy, softball questions, which Steph wrote a really great article up on Free Press Fail about.
Check it out.
The difference between the questions from the Republican primary debates to the Democrat debates, because all of these questions are just like non-consequential, super boring. And all of the questions to Republicans were like, what is your biggest weakness? Jeb Bush, will you please tell Trump he's a liar? Like, inciting violence, basically. And the Dem debate was just a bunch of boring softball questions that they asked at every other debate.
Yeah, the big takeaway is really that CNN is really bad at doing debates, and everybody agrees. I mean, when they had the Republican debates back in 2015, they intentionally pitted the candidates against each other so maliciously that even the candidates were like, you know what? I don't want to answer that question against my opponent because it was so malicious. I mean, they asked Carly Fiorina, they're like, do you think Donald Trump is dangerous? And she's like, like, how do you even answer that question? And then on this one, they just wasted everyone's time. I mean, they spent 20 minutes on impeachment. It's like, okay, obviously Bernie Sanders, Kamala, Elizabeth are all running against Donald Trump. So the position they have to take is that they don't want him to be president anymore. It's not like a huge.
Yeah, and impeachment is so boring now. We don't even have a section on impeachment this week because it's all tired.
Yeah.
Done talking.
It was funny though because they got criticism from the candidates that they didn't ask more about climate change, which is very funny because they actually did a climate change town hall like 2 weeks ago and nobody watched it and nobody cares about it.
Yeah, because it sounds
they still were like, climate change questions. It's like, well, okay. We spent 2 hours on that like a week ago. But
I mean, personally, I would love if they spent 4 hours a week talking about how many of our things that I love that they're going to take away in the name of climate change, because I think that'll just win another election for us. That's fine with me. So I hope they talk about climate change more too.
The only climate change debate I want to see is my love Greta just debating herself like a game of chess against a genius. I just want Greta versus Greta. That's all I want. That's what I'm asking for.
It might happen. We'll put a request in.
That's all. It's better TV than what we're getting so far, CNN.
Yeah. Terrible at debates. F rating at debates for CNN.
It's an F rating. It's not good.
Onto our righteousness porn SJW section. I actually love this story because the story that just kept on giving is Elizabeth Warren staffer, like a Bernie Oppo researcher, reported all of these tweets that a Warren staffer had tweeted out in like 2010 that are like terrible, like racist,
like real bad,
homophobic, very misogynist. A lot of misspellings. There's a lot to criticize.
This story is crazy. So this trans woman, Ashley Preston, I think is the last name. Mm-hmm. Ashley, though, is a campaign surrogate for Liz Warren. And she makes this claim that Bernie Sanders has never gone to a LGBT event or hasn't gone in the last 2 years, or some claim that was not true. And the Bernie Oppo team just launches at her like, oh, you think Bernie is anti-LGBT? Here are all the things that you've said. I mean, The stuff that she said was so bad that I actually don't even feel like it's okay for us to repeat it, because just in case it got taken out of context.
Yes, I will not
But
repeat it, but we did post and screen cap, so if you want to see them, it's on our website.
Yeah, but it was very homophobic against gay men, and it was very racist against Asian and Latino or Latina women, Latinx, I guess.
Absolutely. And then in just like Law and Crime had first reported this, and in the reading it was like, oh, staffer tweets this, and you're like, oh, well, that's bad. And then it's like, staffer also a trans woman. It's like, okay, that makes this a little more interesting, because there's like
shocking.
There's a lot of implications of violence against women, and there's a little bit of a different light there. I was like, okay. But of course, like, Ashley's played the victim on this totally, and says like she can't be responsible for what she said because she's a trans woman, and she's like above criticism for this.
Yeah, so it was hilarious, because actually what's so funny is that this article that outlines all of these horrific things, so bad that we don't want to repeat them here, that she said, they included 2 pro-life tweets as if they're on the same plane. They're like, Ashley is a monster, and for all of these, like, homophobia, anti-woman, racism, also hashtag pro-adoption. I'm like, what?
On equal
so
level,
the left,
clearly.
SJWs hate life, hate babies so much that pro-life tweets are considered on par with homophobic tweets, with racist tweets, with anti-women tweets. I'm like,
it was crazy. But
okay.
The funny part is, like, the Bernie team, I do love to see like Warren and Bernie like just going after each other. So I'm going to indulge it a little. Originally, in the original apology, Ashley was like, I apologize for what I said. It was not a very, like, I worked on getting sober over the last 9 years, and basically implied that the reason she was so racist and misogynist and homophobic was because she was under the influence of drugs or alcohol during all of 2010, I think.
Yeah, like midday while driving. So
that's her initial response, and a Bernie staffer like immediately tweets back like, if you've been working on getting clean for the last 9 years, why were you like drunk on New Year's Eve like this year? or like some, I can't remember exactly the timeline, but like they pulled up like Facebook pictures of her like intoxicated recently, and it's like, this is, if you are saying that when you are under the influence you are all of these terrible things, then maybe you should have actually stopped doing those things.
I love it when politics get petty. Yeah, I love it.
Very petty, but I love the left going after the left, so have fun, guys.
Well, the celebrities can't pick a side. Half the celebrities are like, it's fine because we have to uplift trans Black women, which of course we should uplift trans Black women, but you're not above scrutiny, right?
Yeah.
But the other half was like, no, your apologies are never good enough because there's no room for apologies in the SJW club.
Of course.
So it's just, it's, you know, what fun they are, all of them. Just so
and that's the
fun.
funniest thing is, like, usually I would forgive someone for tweets that are like almost 10 years old. I don't really think that everybody should be held to this like crazy standard where it's an unforgivable crime to say something that offended somebody. But they would never give the right that same amount of credit. If this was a Republican staffer, they would be fired already. But Elizabeth Warren stood by and was like, I look forward to the future I'm building with Ashley. Like, okay, if that was a Republican, they would like call for immediate firing. And I actually think that most Republicans would cave and fire that staffer.
I agree. I think that has been shown historically, which is so funny because on our side, I feel like we're so much more willing to accept that people grow and change over time.
Still fire them.
Which is why we titled this righteousness porn, because that's not what they do. They expect that they don't want you to change. They want to be better than you.
Yeah.
Battle of who's better.
Yeah. Speaking of trans Black women, like, they're really dominating the righteousness porn this week. So last week while we were filming our podcast was the equality town hall on CNN, which was a complete disaster. Like, several of the questions were asked by parents of trans children like under 10 years old, which I think is a little bit of a niche audience. They're going a little bit too far to to reach the average voter, which is the point of a town hall. So I was like, all right, there's a lot of trans kids in here who are very young. And then Blossom, a very tall trans Black woman, stole the mic from one of the mothers of the trans children in a total Kanye West, like, I'm gonna let you finish but moment. And
I'm gonna let you finish.
And goes on this rampage about how, like, every liberal on the stage is not giving enough time to trans Black women specifically, and like it doesn't matter how much time they're giving to the trans issue if they're not like giving Blossom herself like time. And Don Lemon has like never been more scared in his entire life. He was so like, he's like, please, can I have the mic? Can I please have, would you please give me the mic back? And she's like, no, like, I'm talking.
No. He's like, okay, like we're trying to have a dialogue and I'm Don Lemon. I'm an ally. I'm here for you. I'm here for you.
They were not.
She's like, you're not here for me. I'm like, kind of right, Blossom. He actually doesn't care about you at all. So,
yeah. So there was Blossom, and then Chris Cuomo got in trouble because when Kamala was on, she came out and, you know, as all liberals do, introduced herself and her pronouns. And she said, my pronouns are like she and her. And Cuomo goes, okay, mine too. And that didn't go over well. And he was forced to apologize for like making light of a very serious conversation about pronouns. And I just don't think
and he apologized, I'm sure, right?
Oh yeah, it was in a tweet, totally like cucked himself out and was like, I'm so sorry, this is very serious and I should not have made light of it. Like, I'm an ally, forgive me. And they didn't actually give him a hard time for that long, but I just think it's so ridiculous that he even had to apologize. It was off the cuff, like, dumb. But liberals were more.
Well, the whole, you know, the pronoun thing is tough because I support everybody's right to live the life that they feel is their life to live. I mean, if you're a trans woman, great, you're a woman. I mean, I have no problems with any of that. But it's sort of like the labeling issue in the grocery store, right? Like, I think it's okay to assume a pronoun unless someone says otherwise, right? Mm-hmm. That would make more sense than everyone announcing the pronoun. I think just like for efficiency's sake. I'm happy to use any pronoun I'm asked to use, but
yeah,
I don't know why you can actually call me any pronoun. I don't actually care. So
yeah. And I was like, Kamala, we all know that your pronouns are she and her. We've heard you tell a story about when you were a little girl like a million times. We know you identify as a woman.
She only uses her. Right.
We know.
She decides to use her pronouns because she's Miss PC only at the Equality Town Hall, and she's never introduced herself that way before in her life. So
yeah, I think it was kind of a disaster for them, and I think it was very funny. Lots of good videos from that. And I am super glad that I did not sit through the whole thing because I would not have made it.
No. My pronoun is president, is what she should say.
Yeah. No. She wishes.
Yeah. We're on to our favorite MAGA moment or tweet. We're going to very briefly touch on the Minnesota rally that happened right after our last podcast because it was awesome and we can't brush over it. We have a big story after that because they had the whole that's where he got the where's Hunter chant going, which caused the GMA interview to happen, which is so funny that he actually was pressured into an interview.
Oh my God, I love it. He was on fire. I think that was one of his best rallies ever. I've watched a lot of them. I still haven't been to one and I can't wait to go to one. But it was also the rally that he said Joe Biden wasn't actually a good vice president. He only was good at kissing Obama's ass. And the entire crowd, I just love like the reaction of Trump supporters because they're all like, yeah, we totally agree with that. And then they're just like dying laughing because we're just like so shocked that he actually said
because it's just like a funny, shocking thing to say.
Yeah.
Just like when he used to call people like Lil Marco, a low energy Jeb. Like the time he called George W. Bush a coward.
Yeah. But it's so funny. Also, we touched on it last week, but this was the rally that happened in Jacob Frey's town where he was trying to charge the president $500,000+ for security. Turns out Minneapolis did not really secure that event, so I'm not really sure what this bill was for, because Antifa was crazy. They were like stealing people's MAGA hats, lighting them on fire. One of our followers, Dan, actually messaged me that he had attended the rally with his 91-year-old mother, who was like super happy to see the president. They threw a cup of urine at him and his 91-year-old mom as he was exiting this like stadium. And I'm like, I don't really know what that security bill is for, because clearly they did not make sure that the Trump supporters were safe. And I almost feel like this mayor like incited that amount of craziness, because he did not want to properly secure it.
Wow, I mean, they are just so brave throwing urine at 91-year-old women. They're just really standing up for American values, guys. Like,
what does
man, 2020 is going to be close, because they are just really the people I want to be a part of, for sure. I'm always just throwing my urine at people.
Someone who first pees in a cup and then throws it at an old woman is my kind of guy.
That's who I want to associate with, for sure. Idiots.
So but still overall huge win for Trump. Great MAGA rally.
It was a great rally.
Yeah, but the biggest MAGA moment was today.
Yes.
Go ahead, Steph. You can.
So I will tell you, as you know, if you follow us on Twitter, which you all should be, that we were supposed to film this last night, but my power went out because it's just been bad weather. So we had to wait because my Wi-Fi was out. But it was fate. It was a sign from God, because that night, this letter leaked from President Trump to the Turkish leader. It's Erdogan is what his name is, but Trump calls him Erdogan. So that's what I'm going to call him, because it's so funny. And I'm going to read this letter because it is the greatest letter that has ever been written by a United States president in the history of time. Dear Mr. President, let's work out a good deal. You don't have to be responsible for slaughtering thousands of people, and I don't want to be responsible for destroying the Turkish economy, and I will. I've already given you a little sample with respect to Pastor Brunson. I have worked hard to solve some of your problems. Don't let the world down. You can make a great deal. General Mazloum is willing to negotiate with you, and he is willing to make concessions that they would never have made in the past. I am confidentially enclosing a copy of his letter to me just received. History will look upon you favorably if you get this done in the right and humane way. It will look upon you forever as the devil if good things don't happen. Don't be a tough guy. Don't be a fool. Call you later, Donald Trump.
It is just the best letter ever.
It's the best letter ever in the history of presidential letters. I love it so much.
I love it, and I love that like reporters were freaking out and saying this is like a parody, it's not a real letter, and the White House had to come out and confirm that like, yeah, it is a real letter. That is 100% the president. I don't know why they doubted it. It sounds just like him.
Yeah, when my friend sent it to me, I actually only just, which you can't really see it, but his signature looked a little different than normal. And I was like, I don't know, his signature looks a little different, but it sounds like him, is what I said. I was like, I hope it was him. And it was. And it's amazing because, so Pastor Brunson, first of all, to explain one of that reference, it was a pastor who Turkey had imprisoned, and the United States negotiated his release. And he just opened the Senate in prayer yesterday, which I did not know until I read this letter. So he literally set it up for that guy to pray in the Senate, just as like a shot across the bow to Erdogan, just to threaten him. It's like mafia style. He's like, oh, you think I'm not serious? Do you see what I just already did? And it's like, and then immediately, so the media just mocks this letter. They say it's bizarre. They say it's inappropriate. They say it's crazy. And then we negotiated a ceasefire literally like this morning.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I actually like got chills reading the news of the ceasefire, because to be honest, I did not think that was going to happen. But I didn't care because I did support American withdrawal from Syria. It's not our fight. But the fact that we negotiated the ceasefire of a like ancient hostility, like these people have been fighting for ever. And Donald Trump just like gives a little tough love for a few days, and all of a sudden people are willing to come to the table to talk. Like, that's amazing. It's a huge accomplishment, and I do not know what all the Bush advisors and liberal reporters are doing with themselves today, because this is huge news.
He did more for Turkish-Kurdish relations in 48 hours with a sassy letter than we've done in the last 10 years with a million lines in the sand.
Yeah.
To Donald J. Trump.
Cheers to him. Like, amazing. So happy about it. And I'm retweeting like every single tweet that Trump tweets about it, because they're all amazing. And I thought it was actually very gracious. He said, like, thank you for everybody who worked with me on this, instead of being like, F all the haters who said I was crazy, which I also would have supported him if he wanted to say that, but like, he didn't. He said, like, thanks for standing by me with this. I knew it was the right thing, even if it was unconventional. And I was like, that is very gracious, and I love you.
Well, Donald Trump has proven something that cool girls who get dates have known forever, that if you just pretend to be indifferent, they will cave.
I've never been a cool girl, so it's still shocking to me when I see this.
No, my fake indifference is like, I need to work on it.
Yeah.
But
I'm
Trump
more
has
of
nailed it.
Serial texter, the opposite of
And it's such a short, like, remember last week we were talking about like what he sent to the Dems who he doesn't want to get with because he's not trying to be partnered with them. So he sends them like the 4-page text. Well, he's trying to make something happen for Turkey, so it's like super brief. It's like his version
Call
of
you later.
Call you later. Figure it out, Erdogan.
Yeah, so funny. So amazing. I think we're on to best stuff from the campaign side. I have a couple.
Yes. So this week, I believe it was NBC, but
It was.
Yeah, NBC refused to run a campaign ad from Trump because they said it wasn't true about Biden. Which is like, I'm sure they pay the same deference to Trump I'm sure they will pay the same deference to Trump when the Dems start running their ads against him, right?
Oh, I'm positive.
If something can't be substantiated, I'm sure they won't run it.
What I think is funny is that the unsubstantiated claims include video evidence of Biden himself saying it, like we talked about last week.
Biden talking.
It's like, I'm not really sure how you think that you can still stand on this unsubstantiated claim. He said it with his own words. Like, I feel like it would be on Joe Biden to disprove anything, but that's ridiculous.
CNN did the same thing with 2 ads, which that actually happened like 2 weeks ago, but I didn't see it until I saw this NBC one. And so apparently the leftist media is just running rampant with censoring Republican political specifically Trump political ads, which they're just so noble, trying to give you guys truth, but they're also showing fake videos of gun ranges and saying it's Syria and conducting the worst debates in the history of debate time. And this includes
a little bit of
Civil War debates
there. Yeah, I think it was funny. We also, Elizabeth Warren ran a Facebook ad campaign saying that Mark Zuckerberg endorsed President Trump, which is not true, but Facebook allowed her to run that campaign, which is funny.
Yeah, so Facebook has refused to join the leftist media, which good for you. Kudos, Mark Zuckerberg, in censoring political ads. It actually is really difficult to be verified as a political ad buyer on Facebook. And once you do, you can kind of run whatever you want because you have a little thing that says political. So you have like people know it's a political ad. So he just refused to cave to this, right? So Elizabeth Warren, who apparently is not a champion of free speech, wants them to censor political ads and decide what they think is true and don't think is true, since politics is largely subjective. And they've refused. So she thought it would be funny to like do a fake ad to try and force their hand to censor free speech. I'm like, wow, glad you guys spent so much money trying to censor free speech.
Yeah.
But good for Mark Zuckerberg refusing. Good for you guys.
I know. Zucker's like, it's fine. I'll take your money. And that's fine. That's how I feel about most things.
Me too. Capitalism is great. Do whatever you want.
Yeah. I mean, as long as I like it, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, well, I also like it when I don't like it because I enjoy being riled up by the left. So
It's true. We have to have something to talk about.
what I have to have something to live for.
Yeah.
Truly. It's wine and this.
Yeah, I really am only fueled by red wine and pure outrage. So
Wine and rage.
if the left didn't have so much to talk about, I don't know how I would make it through the day.
No, there would be no point, guys.
I seriously.
Well, I think that concludes our episode, which is good because Corinne has to get back to black bagging people and dragging them into that back room over there, which is what I assume is going on. So
I mean, can't confirm or deny anything.
she can't confirm or deny. It makes sense.
But guys, America first. So
America first. But remember, if you guys are watching the news and you're like, what the F, which clearly happens all the time. This is a very packed week. We had to cut a lot down. Make sure and send it to us. We got you. We'll put it up there.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Thank you. Bye.